Hey everybody, this is Jonathan Kirsting with the Tech Vibe Radio 1 mic stand and the Pittsburgh Technology Council. Love doing this series. It's allowing us to talk to our members really about all the great things that they do when it comes to being in Pittsburgh's tech ecosystem, whether it's their products, their services. And one thing that's really been coming up a lot lately is people really wanting to adopt an agile methodology to everything that they do. Anyone who's out there knows agile is become this great way to develop software, to fail quick, spin things up and just move things forward. But the idea of trying to apply that to all sorts of business has become super important. And we're talking to Chris Ruch today from Agile Rising. And this guy is on the scene when it comes to all things agile. And I'm just glad to have you here today, Chris, because you put together a cool little article that we're going to be putting in TEQ magazine that's really all about strategic agility. And it's a quick little fast read, but it gets your mind spinning in that right direction of knowing that we got to start doing things a lot differently. And if we don't, we're going to get left behind as far as that goes. So glad to have you here today.
Great to be here. Glad to be talking to you, Jonathan.
Before we always spin these things up, what's a little bit about your background and what led you to start Agile Rising and really the core services that you guys offer? I know you guys do a lot of stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So Agile Rising, the company I started about 2 years ago, and we focus on large-scale enterprise transformation, really helping companies adopt a more collaborative approach, build better products, and really build better companies and better organizations. So my background, I've been a consultant based here in Pittsburgh, doing similar things since about 2007, and really focused particularly in this space of helping optimize companies and help improve their culture since 2010. So right now, Agile Rising is based here in Pittsburgh, and we're servicing customers really across the country and through their subdivisions around the world.
Excellent. I mean, how cool is that? You're working with people across the country out of Pittsburgh right here, as far as that goes. Is there like a sweet spot for size of an organization that you typically work with?
We work with a big variety of companies, everything from startups that are kind of going through those growing pains, right, as you start to pass the 250 or 500 person mark and the nature of that business changes, all the way up to Fortune 100 companies and huge government agencies. So big variety, but typically what we're working with are those companies that are building large, complex products, have a lot of people involved in those creative, innovative, bringing products to market initiatives, and are looking at helping to optimize larger product development organizations.
Well, it's like you get to have a lot of fun then. I mean, because no engagement is ever the same for you guys then, right?
Exactly. Yeah. One of the great things about being a consultant in general, and in particular, really working at the organizational level and the strategy level, is totally new problems and challenges. Working in market segments that I never would have imagined I'd be working in 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess that really goes to show you just how the whole agile mindset is just really spidering out across all areas. It used to be very, very defined. It was mostly for software developers to get a product out quickly and innovate quickly. But people are realizing that's just a great way to think no matter what your business is, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. These are really universal concepts. It's about how people work together, how people collaborate, and how you innovate and bring new ideas to the market, really across any industry. And in particular with Agile and Agile at scale, it's interesting because it kind of goes in waves through different types of industries. And that real hardcore software development organizations is kind of where Agile started. But then we saw real early adopters in financial services and retail. And now we're seeing a lot of interest in government organizations, a lot of interest in manufacturing and robotics and those kind of hybrid hardware, software, cyber physical systems are now where we're seeing a lot of that, the interest today.
Very cool. I mean, this is, you got some room to grow here. This is, I mean, it just seems like, obviously it's like, there's no place where you guys can't help out as far as that is. And I think that's just super exciting that it's just growing like this. And so I guess at the end of the day, there's many similarities that people are trying to figure out, right, across their organizations, no matter what industry that you're in. And maybe this is a good point for us to kind of start talking about the idea of strategic agility and how this is something you should be putting into your operations in various places. Give us like an overview of this real fast, if you can.
Sure. You know, when people often think of Agile, they think of software development. They think of software teams trying to build products quickly.
I see big white people marking stuff up fast. And
exactly. And that's a big part of it. And that's the foundation in a lot of aspects. But the Agile movement over the last several years has really shifted towards enterprise agility, business agility, and what we call strategic agility. And this is where companies are recognizing that hey, this idea that started with the software developers and designers and product people within the organization is really about how people work together. And if you only focus on those parts of the organization, what you end up doing is optimizing a part of the enterprise, but really all you've ended up doing is shifting the bottleneck to somewhere else in the organization. So a lot of times companies look at these Agile initiatives that they've done kind of at the team level or on the software level and say, you know, it's clearly made progress, but has it really moved the big economic indicators that drive the business? And are we actually getting products into the market faster? Are we actually beating out the competition in innovating and bringing those new ideas to bear? And now in this global crisis that we're living in,
exactly.
Right? Just that, you know, every company's short to midterm and potentially long-term strategic plans were thrown out the window in March, right?
Yes.
These events that nobody saw coming.
No.
And you know, the companies that were able to really shift gears and change their approach, whether that's how people work from home, whether it's the tools that you're using, or really changing marketing, advertising, go-to-market strategies. You know, some of the customers that we're working with, you know, that had supply chain operations in China, in the parts of China that were being affected, and had to not only look at, hey, what impact is that going to have on our delivery schedules, but what changes are we going to make to our supply chain in order to continue to feed the economic engine of the company, right? So it's being able to react and respond to those kinds of changing market conditions. And obviously we're in a really extreme change in market condition, but these things happen all the time where we learn new things, we see the opportunities emerging or opportunities closing. And it's the companies that have the ability to sense that and quickly change their strategy, quickly realign the company around those new objectives, those new business outcomes, and then execute on it, is what really is going to distinguish the companies that are successful in the future from those that struggle. So when we're talking about strategic agility, it's about taking that collaborative mindset, the limiting the amount of work that we have in process, so that we can focus on the highest priority things and be able to respond quickly when there's a change, and bringing that really to the C level and to the senior management level, and aligning the whole organization around how do we rapidly deliver value to the right place at the right time, not just focusing on your software or product development people.
Right. See, I just find it so interesting because it's like a cultural shift you actually put into your organization at that point, where like literally everyone's kind of getting that mindset. So I'm assuming obviously when someone takes this on, they can't take it on lightly. This is something where you got to go full in. There's not just a little bit of agile, you got to have a whole lot of it as far as that goes. But I also see like many of us right now, there may be some smaller companies that are kind of like, oh geez, like, you know, we realize now that we got to be thinking differently. And so moving forward, we want to get that mindset. Are there things people can start just doing on their own, or resources they can go to just to get the gears turning? And once they get it moving, how to go talk to someone like you at Agile Rising to say, we need you to actually now really give us the full bore and get us on that right track.
Yeah, so Agile really is a mindset, and it's a different way of thinking about how people work together and how you do work. And it can mean a whole lot of things, right? The Agile movement's nearly 20 years old. It's an umbrella concept that has a whole lot of best practices and different approaches under it. So, you know, and as you said, you know, when you're talking about undertaking a new culture or a new approach to product development or strategy, it's not a small thing, right? These are really significant organizational change management concerns within a company. And what we really want to make sure that we're doing is reflecting the values of that senior leadership team, and reflecting the goals and the vision of the senior leadership team and how everybody works throughout the organization. So it is big. It does take a lot of thought and reinforcement and a disciplined change management approach in order to get from kind of where you are today to where you're going. So, you know, there's a number of resources that are out there. You know, the internet is full of good articles and resources. You know, the Harvard Business Review and Forbes just recently wrote articles particularly about the C-suite adopting an agile way of working and the importance there. So those are some great things that people could check out and start to think about. And then, you know, the next step for most organizations is either going and getting some people trained, or bringing in an organization like Agile Rising to do an assessment, or do a workshop with the leadership team where we can really dig down into more details about what are the current pain points, what are the leaders hoping to achieve by adopting Agile, and then starting to put together that roadmap and a plan for how to start to make those cultural shifts within the company.
Definitely. It's all good stuff. I mean, I really encourage people to check out your website, because you guys have some good information there. And you guys are such a cool resource here in Pittsburgh. I mean, I know you're one of those where you're going to reach out, you're going to talk to somebody just to get the basics started very easily. Like I always tell people, everyone in Pittsburgh's friendly. They want to link up and talk. And I really encourage people to talk to Chris as far as that goes. So can't thank you enough for talking to us today. Anything that we missed when it comes to the importance of Agile and the Agile mindset and being strategic about it that we haven't covered?
You know, I think some closing thoughts that I leave people with is really being clear about the vision of where you want to go, you know, and where, from a strategic planning perspective and from a strategic agility perspective, where we see a lot of companies struggle is by not having that alignment among leaders throughout the organization about what are they really trying to accomplish. And you know, everybody is trying to do their best job, but if people don't have alignment of their purpose and their vision, they're going to go in different directions, and it's going to be difficult to compete against those companies that really are laser focused on where they want to go. And that doesn't mean that every organization has only one thing that they're focusing on. That's not what we're saying. But you need to know what those everybody in their group needs to know how they're contributing to the overall success of that company. And that's ultimately what we're doing with a good agile strategic planning process, is creating a clear set of priorities, matching the demand that the stakeholders and the leadership and the shareholders of the organization have with the capacity that organization has to deliver on that vision.
Good stuff all the way around. Chris, Ruch, Agile Rising, great stuff. You got me inspired. I want more agility in my workplace. So I think it's something that we all need in this day and age. And that's obviously the trend moving forward in business everywhere. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you, Jonathan. It was great talking to you.
Great stuff.